Hey everybody, today we're gonna do a video on Squeaky Ben and him debating Neil deGrasse Tyson on on transgenderism. Now I've already seen Vosh's reaction to it, not the whole video, but I saw a little bit in the beginning and I was like, oh okay, like Neil is like standing up for transgender people. So I want to do my whole reaction to the full video and give you guys my thoughts as the video goes on. And let's see how based Neil deGrasse Tyson is, and let's see how he dismantles Squeaky Ben. Let's go.
It seems like the left is militating against the advent of science. One of those areas is the area of transgenderism. The argument that is typically made by gender theorists is that gender is entirely separate from sex.
Yeah.
You've seen the argument made that it makes no difference on average if men are stronger than women are, and that if we were to allow transgender women to compete with non-transgender women, then this would somehow not disadvantage biological women. And this seems to me absolutely ascientific, that if we're actually going to have a discussion...
I don't know how many people actually say that. I don't think nobody actually says that transgendered women have no advantage. And transgendered women tend to have lower testosterone levels than men, right? And with puberty blockers, they could actually compete with women, you know. But again, Squeaky Ben is against that.
...about gender and sex, that should be based in data, which suggests that mammals are in fact binary in terms of their sex, unless you have intersex.
Don't you have, like, what is it, clownfish or goldfish, one of the fish where they can change their genders? Based on, right, I think it's goldfish, right? Let's see, I think mammals that can change gender. 11 animals that can change their sex. Black sea bass throughout the US to Maine to the Florida Keys. So literally in the country that Ben Shabibo is in, animals that can change from female to male. Right. Research of sea bass in tanks that reveal that sex change may be related to supply and demand. When female bass observe a decrease in male population in the adjacent tank, they switch. Humphead wrasse, banana slugs, butterflies. Oh, butterflies do? Oh, okay. Gender dromorphism that can cause male and female traits to be arranged haphazardly or bilaterally with one side male and other side equally female. Cardinal frogs. Like, look, man. Look at this. So there are mammals that can change. So he's actually pretty wrong here. You can't. There are mammals that do change. So I don't know what he's talking about. I don't know. But let's see. Continue the video.
Birth defects, typically, or genetic defects.
I'm happy to opine on this. This only matters because today we segregate nearly all sports by gender.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Otherwise, why do you even give a shit? what someone identifies with? So we live in a free country, and
boom. Neil deGrasse Tyson is giving the real libertarian opinion. I know Ben Shabibo, from the videos that I've seen in the past, has claimed to be libertarian, but he's definitely not libertarian, bruh. He ain't no libertarian. The way he's acting, the policies that he wants, and the things he wants implemented make him a very authoritarian, right-wing type of person. Big government, but not in a good way. So he's no libertarian.
And with consenting adults and people free expression of who and what they are.
Yeah, on an adult level, I agree with you. I think it does matter what you teach children. That's what I'm saying.
And so there's the
so it's wrong to teach children that they can express themselves in the way they want to be and not to be forced into this binary view of gender. I disagree, Ben Shabibo. I disagree a lot, and I think a lot of people would disagree with you. They always say, oh, the children, save the children. That's like a conservative argument. I mean, considering that a lot of the pedos that we find are Republican, I don't know how much y'all can make the argument that you're a pro-children party. I mean, Mark Gates. What? Yeah. So, I don't know. It's a weird argument that they make. I think it's a good thing to teach children about the reality that surrounds them. And not to hide things from them because you don't want them to learn. this is why I believe homeschooling is a bad idea. I think everyone should go to school. So there's a centralized centralized curriculum that everyone learns. But that's just another topic for another video. I'm kind of going off the rails here.
The matrix of what you are biologically, how you express yourself, who you choose as a sexual partner. If we actually live in a free country, as we tell ourselves, people's freedom to behave in any of those ways should not concern you at all. Nor are they requiring that you behave that way. Okay?
Well,
this is for their own freedoms, because we live in a free country. Now,
see, he's making the actual argument for freedom. When Squeaky Ben says that he's for freedom, he's lying. This is what an actual argument for freedom looks like.
what is unresolved here is, what do you do with sports?
Yeah.
It's unresolved. And I follow that closely, and I don't see any meaningful solutions to come down off of that. We know that hormones manifest differently in different people, and there's the whole thing with steroids. Steroids are hormones, right?
Yeah.
And we rallied against steroids in professional sports because it gives you an undue advantage. So, and I've tried to think of what the future of sports would be in the world of a gender spectrum. And it may be, you don't specify whether it's a male or female sport. You just take measurements of what your hormonal balances are. And so you compete based on your hormonal.
That's actually a good idea. Hormonal, like, you know how in boxing they have weight classes so that people with similar size will fight each other? Rather than having like a freaking heavyweight fighting a freaking, like a 220-pound guy fighting a 147-pound guy. Like, you have weight classes so the fights are fair. Like, you could have like hormonal weight classes. Like, that's actually a great idea. That's actually a really, really good idea. Yeah. That's actually, I didn't even think of that. I had no idea what the solution to that problem was, but hey, this is why Neil deGrasse Tyson is the genius and I'm just the idiot reacting to his videos, and he's the one making the great ideas. Like, wow, that's a great idea actually, I think. And the crazy thing is, it's not even his field. He's an astrophysicist. So, wow, yeah. Guy's smart. That's all I gotta say.
Just thought I had him.
Yeah.
I don't know where it's gonna land.
The
but
WNBA won't be in business for very long if that's the case.
it would just be you'd have to.
No, he said hormonal levels, so they would be in business. Okay, we know what. Forget it.
Find some way
This guy.
to compete people against each other if you still care that sports is an interesting activity.
I guess the area where it does come up in a non-sports area.
Yeah, tell me. I don't know.
So it would be, you talk in your book about the education of children and teaching children about science. And
Yes.
right now, children are being taught about the quote-unquote gender spectrum, which is not scientifically based. That is a theory-based idea.
No,
Meaning
wait.
No, it is scientifically based. If you go look it online and do your research, the gender spectrum is supported by science. Neil will probably say that, right?
People express themselves on a spectrum,
Yeah.
so you learn that.
That's
I don't.
that's a social
Yeah, sure.
point, not a scientific point.
It's.
Meaning we express ourselves
hold on.
based in different languages. Is that something you teach in science class, or is that something that you teach when you're teaching language?
So.
Yeah, people express them in different ways. This is an empirical truth. So we should teach it. Like, it's that simple. There's no other way of getting around it. People express themselves in different ways. Just because you don't accept that or you don't like it doesn't mean that they shouldn't be taught. The world doesn't revolve around Squeaky Ben's worldview. It's about the truth and reality.
Whether the fact that people want to express themselves on a spectrum,
That is a fact. It's not an opinion.
gender spectrum, whether that fact
I love how he's saying fact, like, really slowly, like he's talking to like a kid and explaining, no kid, it's a fact. Fact. yeah, that's disrespectful, but I love the disrespect. Ben deserves the disrespect, but it's funny.
is something you want to put in a sociology class or in a science class. Maybe that remains to be determined.
Yeah.
But it is a real fact about real society.
Well, of course, nobody's denying that people identify how they want to identify.
So So
The question is, what is the relationship of that to biology? Meaning that the argument is made that trans women are women, for example. And what that seems to mean is that trans women are identical to women. Now, people want to say...
Nobody says that. Like, they're gender-wise, yes, but in terms of biology, no. Come on, Ben. Like, it's like, I think he's deliberately doing it at this point. Like, maybe I was naive and thought that he was stupid, but I really do think he's deliberately trying to misrepresent the argument to sort of bring harm to trans people.
Trans women are not biological women. Obviously, that is the case.
Yeah.
But people don't seem to want to say that.
Everyone says that. There's a difference between gender and sex. Sex is biological, gender is psychological. And the roles that you assign in society. I don't know how many times that I have to say this every time I react to a Bren Shapiro trans video. It's like, I wish I could talk to him through the screen and be like, Ben, there's a difference. But even then, he's probably going to somehow, like, you know, misrepresent the argument anyways.
Although that is obviously scientifically true. Trans women are not biological women. Biological women are biological women.
But where are you going with this? What are you trying to accomplish by asking yourself, is it science or is it not science?
Ooh, he's calling his ass out. I like this. I like this. What he's doing right now is that he's basically exposing Ben's whole freaking argument, right? He's exposing it. What is your intent? What is your intent? Why do you keep going on about this? What's your intent? And Neil, I'll tell you, although, you know, Neil can't hear this, he just wants trans people to go back to being invisible, not recognized, and when they're recognized, they're viewed as like deviant or like evil, I don't know, or different in a bad way, right? That's what he wants. That's what Squeaky Ben Shapiro wants.
It's people in society.
But this is a perfect example of an area where suddenly it doesn't matter to say things that are just true. Like, why is it bad or wrong to point out?
I have another way to approach this. I care what is objectively true in the world.
Yeah, you're a scientist.
As a scientist. Mm-hmm. But let me not say even as a scientist. I just simply care what is objectively true. And science happens to be a pretty potent path to invoke, to find out what is true. And so
yes.
If people express themselves on a gender spectrum,
yeah,
and that is an actual thing in an actual society,
yeah.
If we have not fully explained that scientifically, that's an interesting frontier to study.
Boom, you see the difference in attitude and goal? Like, when Neil deGrasse Tyson sees transgender people who express themselves outside of the binary gender thing and express themselves on a spectrum, he's like, oh, this is fascinating. He has that scientific mindset. Oh, let me explore this. Let me find out what's going on. Let's find the truths. While Squeaky Ben, who does not have a scientific approach, even if he claims he does, he cares about science, his is more, oh, this is outside my experience, so I gotta demonize it and make it look bad. I mean, my Ben Shapiro impression probably wasn't good. I can't really do squeaky voice that well, but, you know, I tried. But that is what Ben's mindset is. He's not scientific at all. He's not close to science. He's the furthest thing away from science. Squeaky Ben is not a scientist.
If you want to say it's only sociological, then it's the purview of the social sciences.
Yeah.
I don't care who studies it. It's an interesting fact about society that's worth learning about.
KO.
To make it
KO.
Fight someone and say it's not biological, it's just your this. It's real and it's there.
Well,
because
it's a KO, man. Neil just knocked him out verbally, put him to sleep. Someone needs to stop this, man. It's getting brutal now.
It's real because it manifests.
But it is real because it manifests. But the question of how to classify manifestation is a scientific question. Meaning that, for example, there's a woman over at Brown University. She came out with a study that suggested that there was a phenomenon called rapid onset gender dysphoria, in which a member of a particular group would suffer from gender dysphoria, and this person,
I don't know anything about the study.
Immediate peer group, would suddenly have an onset of gender dysphoria. This paper was so controversial that Brown tried to pull it, and then was forced to
Why? How many studies like that? I've never heard of rapid onset dysphoria. Like what? As if it just spreads. I've never. This sounds really dubious. I'm
Reassign it
sorry.
later. You see this sort of
That's a
treatment
different question. What you're asking now is, are there some topics that should not be studied scientifically?
Right.
And is there some taboo? And Sam Harris speaks a lot about this.
Yes.
And I think the concern is, if you study some topic that's a hot button topic, and you bring scientific methods and tools to it, we don't trust. I'm interpreting here. I think we as a society don't trust that people in charge in a free country won't try to legislate something that will constrict people's freedoms in the face of that information. I think that's the fear.
Yeah, see, that's exactly. He hit it the nail on the fucking head. He's exactly right, because that's exactly why I'm afraid of all these kind of studies. Because I'm okay with studies, but my problem is conservatives will use that as a reason to sort of oppress, marginalized groups like trans people. And I don't even know anything about that study, but it already sounds a bit ridiculous. Like, how do you, like, gender dysphoria is spreading? Like, what? Rapid onset gender dysphoria. I don't know. It sounds a bit weird. If you in the comment section, if y'all know about that study, please tell me. Like, is it like valid? Is it like scientifically proven? Is it, like, does it have any validity to it, or is it just some BS someone made up? Because I don't know.
Well, isn't that?
It's a fear.
I mean, and isn't that?
We don't trust our own ability to govern ourselves in the face of what could be some information relative to other kinds of information.
Isn't that a bit of a problem?
Yes. Yeah. It's not. It means it's not a free society. It's not a society of free inquiry, which I think you need ultimately.
Yes.
But yeah.
My general take on all of this stuff, from climate change to gender dysphoria to all of these issues, is bring out the science and then let's hash it out. I think.
Yeah, the science says you're wrong about climate change, Ben. Don't you have downplayed it in the past? Candace Owens, I think, almost basically freaking, I think denied it straight up, and even Joe Rogan called her ass out on that shit. But yeah, the conservatives tend to downplay or deny climate change. So yeah, the science is not on your side, Ben, on climate change either, or trans issues.
I think that the problem I'm seeing with a lot of sides
what is
is
your motivation?
why does that matter?
It matters because if you have political power, you could end up creating legislation that subtracts freedoms from people who previously were enjoying the same freedoms as you.
Yes.
The history of that exercise
Then make a better argument.
doesn't end well.
Well, but the history of which exercise? Bring out all the science and let's hash it out.
I'm saying if
Ben is not getting it. What he's saying is that people often use science as a way of oppressing people. We had the whole eugenics thing in the past, where people try to say that one race is better than the other race using science. There's a history of science being used as a way of oppressing people or doing harm to others. And that's why people are afraid of these things. And I don't blame them. They should be studied, I believe. But we have to make sure that it's not used for limiting people's freedoms. And Neil hit that point. Right. Good point. Ooh, great point. But Squeaky Ben is not getting it, and I think his intent is malicious. It's not simple naivete or ignorance. It's malicious. He wants to strip away trans people's rights, I think. No, I know.
you bring in all the science and the politicians hash it out, the history of that exercise is a recipe for disaster.
Exactly.
It involves discoveries that put people's freedom as defined in our Constitution at risk.
Yes.
But now you're arguing for limitations on areas of particular study.
No,
he's
I'm
not
arguing on we need a way to shield, we need a way to protect people's freedoms in the face of whatever gets discovered scientifically.
Exactly.
So
I'll give it.
I agree. I think that's what the Constitution is for, is to guard rights from.
But we're always fighting people who want rights are always fighting others who are saying they don't get the rights from the Constitution.
Yeah.
This is a daily challenge.
Yeah. I mean, especially for example, black people had to fight because the Constitution says, free men. what happened to black people? They weren't free for the majority of American history. So you see what I'm saying? Like, people have to constantly fight for their rights to be free against people who say, well, you shouldn't be free. But the Constitution has existed. You see what I'm saying? Since the beginning of America. So Constitution is not always the greatest argument, because people have still been not free under the Constitution of America.
The progressive left is a daily challenge.
Yes.
Right? Here's an example. I forgot how I ended up getting this phone call. It was some magazine that serves the gay community.
The gay community, okay.
And I remember why, because they wanted my opinion on, they wanted my opinion about whether being gay was biological or
Right, there's that new study that came out, this vast
or
study.
psychological.
Right,
okay?
right.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't care which it is.
Ooh.
Find out what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Fine.
Yeah.
But the answer to that question should have no consequence on
their rights,
legislations or laws. Because, for example,
Yes,
suppose it said
Yes.
it's purely biological.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Then you say, oh, that explains it. Suppose it says it's purely psychological.
Oh.
What are you going to do now? You say, well, now you're going to go to the reorientation camps or whatever those are called, where they realign you because they say it's psychological.
That's what conservatives would like to do. I know that might sound crazy to y'all, but I genuinely think, because how much they rail against LGBTQ people and homosexual people, let's say in this case, they would like to do that. But they won't say it, but that's what they want to do. This is why they don't want it to be, they keep talking about the kids. Because let's say hypothetically it was all psychological, right? Let's say, just for argument's sake. They would say, "Oh, we can't teach it. We got to get rid of the gayness. We got to get rid of it." That's why they keep saying that, right? Because they don't want it to be biological. They want it to be, oh, it's in the person's mind, so they have a justification for trying to get rid of gay perspectives in society, getting rid of gay people in society, in terms of getting them back to becoming a marginalized group and a forgotten group and a group that is demonized. And that their history is not taught at all. The history of struggle and oppression is not taught at all. That accepting gay people is not taught at all. That's what they want. But like Neil said, it shouldn't matter. It should not matter at all. Because why does it matter? If you view gay people as equal to straight people, I mean, gay people equal to basically everybody, let's say, it doesn't matter if it's biological or psychological. They're still people, right? But if you don't, then it matters. Because now you want to justify that gay people are lesser. You know what I mean? And that's what conservatives do, I think. No, I know.
Rather than biological, all of a sudden, people start behaving in ways in society that want to constrict the freedom of expression of who and what people are. And that is a danger. So maybe there needs to be a line in the sand. Let science do what it does, but politicians keep us free.
Exactly.
Yet there's so many politicians that are doing the opposite of that.
So why aren't you a libertarian? I mean, I'm a libertarian. Come over here. Just
okay.
Ben, you are not a libertarian. Stop capping. You're not a libertarian, bro. You're an authoritarian right wing, maybe fascist even.
The line is right here. Just join me over here.
Just hang on. I'm not gonna leave.
All right, stupid ad. I think the video is over. So my final thoughts on this is that Squeaky Ben got wrecked. And in the last video I made about Squeaky Ben, he got wrecked. Also, Neil's not even an expert on, what do you call this? Trans issues, right? He's an astrophysicist. So the fact that someone who may not be an expert, maybe he's followed it, but he's not, that's not his area of study, is amazing. Like, it's amazing. It shows you how little Ben Shabibo knows about trans issues. Can you imagine if you actually debated someone like, let's say, ContraPoint or Philosophy Tube, them being actual trans people and having a great, and they have a lot of knowledge about it? It's over. Ben is going to get he's going to get annihilated. Like, he will never post that video. He'll get flagged for murder. This video should be flagged for freaking assault, man, because god damn, Neil destroyed him. Oh man, this was a good video. This was a great video. Neil basically exposed Ben for being a complete freaking idiot on trans issues, and pretty much he's an idiot on all issues in my opinion, but especially this one. Neil wrecked him. Neil just wrecked him. Alright, so let's look at the comment section. Tyson is weak. He's too scared to tell the truth. He doesn't want to be kicked out of the clubhouse for being morally honest. Truly is pathetic when a corrupt ideology has such a hold on people that they're willing to sell their souls for the praise of the world. What? You made no counter arguments to his argument. You just said that he's weak and he's scared of the truth or whatever. By his own logic, why does he rally so hard against people that believe that the earth is flat when it has nothing to do with them? It's just a social viewpoint. It has everything to do with it, because people who believe the earth is flat are crazy because it has been scientifically proven that it isn't, just like the gender spectrum is an empirical truth that science supports. What? Neil is consciously intellectually dishonest. He could be Bill Nye's brother. There's a difference between intelligence and wisdom. It's difficult to express wisdom when your speech is dictated by fear. I'm guessing he's talking about Neil. Imagine if debates between the left and right always went like this, we'd be in the next galaxy, bruh. Hey, that's a good point. I like these type of debates. But hey, right-wingers are not willing to debate like that. They don't want the smoke. They know they're gonna get freaking knocked the hell out verbally. It's GG's, it's game over if they start debating leftists, man. Like, on a regular basis. Neil, I will humbly follow the evidence wherever it leads, as long as it doesn't lead to me cancelled. Okay, so I've read enough comments. I was hoping that there would be people, Ben Sopibo fans, who were like, oh, Neil made a great argument, I should think on this more. Nah. How do you reach these type of people? I don't understand. Like, that was a great logical argument that he made, and these people still don't, they don't consume it. I don't know how else you can reach them. Like, if Neil deGrasse Tyson can't reach him, I don't know how many of us can reach him. Can't reach them, Yeah, so I think these two people are too far gone. They have the conservative brain rot. The conservative brain rot has rotted their brains too much, I think, for them to come back. Hopefully a few people saw this video and started questioning things and maybe moving to the left. That's what I hope, because I think debating is one of the most effective ways of convincing people. They're debating the people that they view as intelligent and destroying them. And that's one of the best ways. Well, this has been a great video. I had a blast reacting to this. Neil completely destroyed Squeaky Ben. And yeah, completely annihilated him. I don't know I think Ben is not going to have Neil on again. I can guarantee you that. He's not going to have Neil on ever again, because this was brutal. I'm sure even he knows it. Well, that's it for today. See y'all in the next one.